Welcome back to Press here. Take a look at this video. It's from PreAct Tech, scanning a driver, making sure he's paying attention or not texting or taking his eyes off the road. One of the many uses of LIDAR, like radar, except using lasers instead of radio waves. Self-driving cars like Waymo and Cruise use LIDAR, but you can also find it on a growing number of conventional cars, like the latest Mercedes S-Class, and about a dozen others. Germán León is head of software at PreAct, which makes that face-scanning LiDAR you just saw. Good morning. You know, much to my chagrin, I found out that from one of my coworkers that April was Distracted Driving Month, and this is going to run in May. So I should have interviewed you a little bit earlier. But then again, you know what? Every month ought to be Distracted Driving Month, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely.
So your technology, have car makers been expressing interest in preventing distracted driving?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We are facing an evolution of autonomous driving and also an enhancement dramatically in ADAS, which is advanced driver systems for preventing any type of accident and helping drivers drive safely.
You know, there's this funny little corner where as our cars get more automated, we need to pay, or we do, I don't know if we need to, we do pay less attention. And so there is that problem of the adaptive cruise control and other things that make us less attentive.
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, you have to think that a lot of the things that are mandatory for driving might require you to do things that are not necessarily human. We as humans have the ability of paying attention for a certain period of time, but not all the time. So technologies are there for us to assist us and help us be fully focused, or help us in cases where we cannot see certain patterns or situations that might be causing harm for us.
You know, I was looking over the white papers and some of the things that you have published and how quickly these sensors that you make can react, because it can do other things other than just monitor someone in a car. The response time is fast enough. It can actually set the airbag off before impact. You engineers call that pre-crash.
Correct. That's the idea. The concept is to get to a point that we are able now, with artificial intelligence and obviously with the PreAct LiDAR cameras, be able to see and understand humans in depth, meaning in 3D. We're able to predict when something's going to happen. Inevitably, there will be situations where you're going to have an accident. That's something that we cannot avoid. Therefore, the AI is able to understand that this situation is about to happen, and you could take measures, adjust the vehicle in certain position, trigger the airbags, or even alert the driver that hold tight to a situation that could cause any danger.
One of the more creative ideas and solutions that can come from this tech is the ability to not let you open your door if there's a bike behind you, which I think many bikers would say thank you. But it's kind of a good example of I hadn't even thought of that being something that a car could do.
Yeah, there's a big movement, I would call, in terms of what these technologies are enabling. The first thing is that they're going to be able to see things that we can't. It's nature. The cars have sensors all around, and they can see at different distances and predict many different options. Sometimes there are situations where you might have a tree or something that is creating an occlusion, and you're not able to see, let's say, a bicycle or somebody in a scooter. Therefore, you should not open the door and prevent a simple accident. But it can get even more complicated than that. Perhaps at night you're turning a corner and the car or the motorcycle has let's say, doesn't have the right light conditions. You might not be able to see them, and then the vehicle is able to react really quickly. What we're seeing is this evolution in both the technologies that are preventing accidents and the artificial intelligence, that we're getting to a level of superhuman capabilities. And ultimately, that is the point. A lot of accidents happen because of human error, and I don't blame humans for it. I mean, we have people pass the test and different, measures in order to drive well. But the point is that there will be always situations where you cannot see or understand what's going on, and it's not your fault. Therefore, we apply these technologies to vehicles in order to create that full-on prevention and really save lives. That's ultimately the goal.
And protect taxi drivers and Uber's drivers as well, because that same software and LiDAR can be used to scan a passenger. I saw some video. It was a little bit creepy.
Correct.
of the passenger, and it said the computer was able, hey, passenger's reading a book. But it also means that the computer could also figure out passenger has a gun and is doing something, and the car itself could call 911 before the driver even realized he was being held up.
Yeah, I mean, I want to stress the point when you mentioned the creepiness, because I agree. A lot of things around artificial intelligence might feel creepy at a certain point, but rest assured, at PreAct, we are completely respecting people's identity and privacy. We have a concept which is called privacy by design, which means that we see the geometry, but we're not looking at identities or trying to, match your face with someone or anything like that. We're not in the business of monetizing the data. We collect the data through our cameras, but we use the metadata to identify the situations. And the situations is what really matters. So you just perfectly clearly said it. We could see somebody having an activity in a vehicle. Imagine if you are in a position before an accident that might be very tricky or that requires immediate attention because of the gravity of the accident. Then the fire department, so the people helping in that situation, will know exactly your situation or position prior to the accident. In other instances, we'll see, like you mentioned, violence that happens in certain geographies where someone might pull a weapon or try to do something to the driver itself. And you might be able to prevent that by actually understanding that behavior. So the interesting part of what we're looking into is that the autonomous, let's say, field is moving into an era where it's starting to see and understand humans in different contexts. And there's a lot of things that happens in different geographies, from simple distraction to more active, let's say somebody trying to do something or take control of the vehicle or being violent, right? All of that is just turning it into a more safer and interesting space at the moment, I think.
Now, when it comes to LIDAR, one of the biggest critics, not because of safety or privacy or anything, but because of cost, is Elon Musk. He says that any car company, I believe, if I'm quoting him right, any car company that relies on LIDAR is doomed. In fact, we have a clip of that. Let's play that.
And in cars, it's freaking stupid. It's expensive and unnecessary. And as Andre was saying, once you solve vision, it's worthless.
What do you think of that idea that it's too expensive? LiDAR is expensive, certainly more expensive than high-res cameras, but costs are coming down, right? I mean, my iPhone has LiDAR to autofocus the camera.
Absolutely. So at the time when Elon Musk said that, that was correct, that was accurate, but the technology has advanced. And what is really important here is the ability to see in 3 dimensions. So you have multiple techniques that allow you to see depth. Depth can be done by essentially stereo. Your eyes look in 3D because you have 2 eyes, and that geometry that is built by our 2 eyes create that depth. So what's really happening with LiDAR is the ability of seeing things in a really large distance with a high granularity, and it's coming down in very, very much in cost. So from our point of view and PreAct, we probably have, I would probably say, the cheapest LiDAR in the market, but with an incredible quality and a great robustness. And that's really what matters at this stage. Now, there is a trend where we're combining both LiDAR and RGB vision, because what we ultimately want to have is the best technology in place. And that's a direction we're also taking. So we're not saying that traditional high definition video is not important. No, we're just giving importance to the ability of seeing in 3D, in real life, because we live in a 3D world. We move, we have depth. We cannot just see flat images on an ongoing basis. Therefore, measuring that geometry gives us real precision data that will avoid accidents, that will create real, true understanding of the world. And that's how our brains ultimately perform. They see that depth and they can take action to it. So that's ultimately what we want. So I would say that Elon Musk was right, but you know what? Things have changed, technology has evolved, and now it's better.
Fair enough. Well, Germán León, Vice President in charge of software at PreAct, I appreciate you joining us this morning. Please drive safe and press here. We'll be back in just a moment.